next season for the Niners to be a real Super Bowl contender, which player needs to step up most?
I think it's going to be George Kittle. He got paid like he is the leader and captain of the team, best player on the team. 49ers gave him what he felt like he deserved plus more, and he has to be able to stay healthy and he has to be able to produce, right? So, he is integral to the running game. I think one of the reasons why the running game was so bad last season is because he wasn't healthy. And he's integral in the passing game as well. The tight end is always going to be the safety net for any quarterback. And so if he's not there, he needs to be able to, one, prove that he's healthy, and two, prove that he could perform, every single game, because, he's listed as one of the top tight ends only by reputation at this point. It's not because of what his production is, because his production hasn't shown that all last season. And he really, he's really like, hasn't put together healthy seasons and great seasons other than maybe two seasons max. So I think he needs to step up, and otherwise, like you said, maybe he's a draft. He's somebody that could be traded for a first-round pick the next season or next 2 seasons, something like that.
He needs to start scoring. 14 touchdowns in 4 seasons. He needs to start scoring. They need to start giving him the ball in the end zone, or at least trying to. There's so many guys you can name. I mean, McGlinchey, Armstead, Debo, freaking Debo is a big one. Mostert, where was Mostert last year? Nick Bosa. But honestly, I think the way I look at this team is all those guys need to step up. It's the same team as last year, plus Samson Ebukam, minus Kendrick Bourne. It's the same team. So for this team to really make a run in a way that one couldn't, it's got to be this number 3 pick. And that's why I keep saying that, or I keep thinking that they can't take Trey Lance, as appealing and intriguing as he is, because they can't put their number 3 pick on the sit for a year plan. That guy's got to be a difference maker because the rest of the team is the same.
Right.
That's all I'm saying.
I agree. And I think that, everybody's really hoping that the injury bug doesn't hit the Niners again, because, clearly the injuries played a big role in why we didn't make the playoffs this season. But I also think that the 49ers have a lot of heart, and they were in every single game. And it's just like,
True.
I think it's not as far. They're not as far off from being in the playoffs and contending in the playoffs than their record showed and that their draft pick shows. So I think that the ball bounces a couple other ways this season for the Niners. They're in the playoffs, and we're talking a different way about them.
Killer Cam says, I love that name, man. That's a good song. Killer Cam says, history doesn't lie. How many top 3 quarterback draft picks work out? Draft Pitts at 3, Mond or Trask later rounds, emergency meeting with Kyle and John. Yeah, not only that, like if Mond or Trask aren't there at 23, there's Davis Mills in round 4. There's options. Here's the thing. Let me just throw this at you. When he says history doesn't lie, it's an interesting point. I've been looking. Think about it. Top 5 picks the past 10 years. Which ones have definitely worked out, in your opinion?
Top
5.
Man. Top 5 picks.
At quarterback.
Put me on the spot. I have to do some.
No, I know. It's tough, but I mean, think about it. I mean, a lot of busts, a lot of miss. There was Darnold, Kyler Murray. He's looking good so far.
Right. So I mean, it depends on what you consider a bust, right? So if you
not a bust, but like even Andrew Luck, great player. He didn't make it till he was 30. Like Cam Newton, great player, but not exactly what they thought when they were taking him number 1. I mean, maybe Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan still playing. Number 3 pick, 2007. Right. A lot of these guys, you think, man, this is a 15-year franchise quarterback. Well, it's not that simple, man. It's not that easy.
But you can say that about any player at any.
No question. No question. But the thing about Kyle Pitts is people are talking about him like he's Bo Jackson tight end. He's tight end version Bo Jackson. He's Julio Jones 2.0. And if your scouts say that, I'm just saying from the Niners perspective, all the scouts are saying, look, we don't need a tight end, but this guy, we've never graded someone this high. No, I mean, this is amazing. This guy's a freak. There's like no one like him in the world. That's if you have that kind of a grade on him, and say there's a number system in your organization, and he's a 98 out of 100, and all the quarterbacks that you could take are like 91s. What do you do?
91 at quarterback, because the 91 at quarterback is much more impactful than a 98. Because even using the example of Julio Jones has been on the Falcons, and what have the Falcons done that's so much better than what the Niners have done in the last however many years?
That's a good point.
So like I said, Calvin Johnson, Julio Jones, these are amazing players, but they're not gonna change the trajectory of your team that much. You know what I mean? It's gonna be based off of the scheme, based off of who's throwing them the ball, based off of the defense, all that kind of stuff. Julio Jones, to me, is hands down one of the greatest receivers of all time. He's only been to the Super Bowl once. 49ers have already done that, been to the Super Bowl once and lost. So it's like, what's really that much going to change? That Pitts is there that is going to take us to the next level. I don't know. I don't think Pitts does that.
Only thing I think the kicker in this conversation is, okay, so if let's say Pitts theoretically is a 98, the quarterbacks you have on the board are a 91, then you would ask your scouting department, okay, honestly, what did you grade Josh Rosen at coming out? What was your grade for, not now, but coming out of UCLA, what was his grade? Because if his grade was a 91 or a 92 and you liked him back then, and he's had a tough time in the NFL, that's all I'm saying. It's like, do you like Josh?
Yeah, but that also, you're also lost 4 years of development under the system, right? So like there's a difference between Josh Rosen getting picked and whomever was the coach of the Cardinals or the coaching staff with the Cardinals there versus Kyle Shanahan, who probably has the confidence like, yeah, I thought Josh Rosen was a 91, but he might be broken now. He's already gone to 3 different teams, been through, all that kind of stuff. So I think it's not apples to apples, the comparison. True. It's more like if we had Josh Rosen at 91 and we drafted him, we probably think he's in a better situation than how he was drafted in Arizona and moved to Miami and then went to Tampa, that kind of thing. So I think Kyle Shanahan has more faith in his ability to make a quarterback good than anybody else.
Also, I guess the final kicker question would be for the scouting department is, okay, well, what are your grades for Mond and Trask in round 2? Like, how big is the gap? What are we talking? Like, if you say Mond is a 89, like, what is that that big of a difference? That would be the only thing. And that's like 8 different.
Let me ask you this question.
Yes.
If you had, as rookies right now, the choice between Matt Ryan and Julio Jones on this 49ers squad, who are you taking?
Man, that's a tough one.
At 3, both of those players are available. Are you taking Julio Jones or are you taking Matt Ryan?
Man, that's a really good question, man. Put me on the spot.
You know the answer. It just messes up your argument, so that's why you're not saying it.
I guess I see what you're saying, but again, who was the last quarterback taken in the top 5 who's had the type of longevity and consistency that Matt Ryan's had?
Who's the last player in general that's been taken in the top 5 that's had that success,
Yeah, that's a good question, man. You got me on that one.
It's like sometimes when people talk about quarterbacks, there's obviously always this higher, magnifying glass put on it, but it's a crapshoot no matter what. Very, very few times is there like a can't miss option that is there. And it doesn't, the 49ers don't need to hit a home run. They need to just need a consistent guy that could get on base or get a double every now and then. That's all they need, because right now they have some people that can't even get on base. That's all that's needed. And that's why people are, I think we also need to put into perspective.
Let Kyle Pitts be the DH then.
Hey, if Kyle Pitts could throw the ball,
to himself.
Yeah, exactly.
Who is the better passer between Fields and Lance in your opinion? I think Kyle and John are actually split on those two, and accuracy would be the deal breaker.
So that's a really good question, because I think with Lance you're projecting. With Fields, it's kind of like you kind of feel like you know what you're getting with Fields. I think right now you got to go with Fields. I mean, Fields has a higher completion rating. Fields has played in bigger games. Fields has shown his toughness. Fields has, shown the ability to take his team and win big games. So I would go with Fields just because of the resume as far as what he's done. I wouldn't be upset if they took Lance either. I just think that Fields is ready to play right now, and both of us think that they need to start with somebody that could play right now. And I like Fields' intangibles. I don't know too much about Lance's intangibles, but I know Fields is a leader. I know Fields is super tough. I know Fields has been under the microscope ever since he's been 17. There's been no issues, no run-ins with the law, nothing that like is a red flag as far as that. And he's been the consensus top 2 quarterback ever since went to college. So to me, that's just nobody's a can't miss, but you're going to get a lot with a player like that. I think his ceiling is much higher than anybody else, I would say.
That's why I think the Jets take him. All those things you said about scrutiny he's been under for so long. Justin Fields, it's just that's the kind of guy who a New York team would feel is prepared for what he's going to face there. I think the kid from Utah.
Yeah, no, I think Lance or Fields, the same conversation that 49ers are having, the Jets have to be having, because Wilson is pretty much like Darnold. We talked about it, last week. Like Wilson and Darnold are the same type of everything people are saying about Wilson, they were saying about Darnold.
Yeah.
But the issue is, no matter who that quarterback is, the Jets still have a lot of pieces they need before they're going to be a good team. And yeah, they have the draft, but I don't know. I think that Fields will give them a better chance to win right now than Wilson. However, I think Wilson with the Niners will be good because we have the right team around him if he goes to the Niners.